All right, this is going to be an important video, so listen up. JD Vance and Elon Musk, in an oddly coordinated way, both openly endorsed defying a court order this morning, and that is scary. That is when we officially enter a constitutional crisis, and I think right now is a time to double down on the relentless coverage of Elon Musk, to double down on exposing his rapid and unprecedented takeover of multiple federal agencies, and the courts are pushing back. The courts are holding. And I just want to say that once they begin to defy court orders, that is when we have moved past the point of no return. All that I ask is that you drop a like, subscribe, and I want to go over this Substack article that I'm currently working on. It's titled, Elon is barreling us toward a constitutional crisis. Keep pushing back. I urge you guys to go subscribe to the Substack. It's the first link in the description. It is free. You can do a free subscription or a paid subscription. I have a Gen Z team leading the way, writing about our experiences during these formative years for us in college while Trump is the president. So this says, here is a tipping point. The moment that Elon Musk, Donald Trump, or any of their cronies openly defy a court order, we've officially entered a constitutional crisis, and I'll explain why. I'll justify this all. We're not quite there yet. Yes, the dismantling of key institutions is happening at breakneck speed. Yes, Trump and Musk are embedding loyalists in crucial government agencies, but so far, the courts have held the line. On day one, a Reagan-appointed judge blocked Trump's illegal attempt to strip birthright citizenship. Then, Trump's efforts to pause federal funding were immediately challenged in a court. Then, a judge stepped in to pause DOGE's gutting of U.S. aid, which was a rare check on Musk's freewheeling takeover of government agencies. After all of this, a judge yesterday decided to block Elon Musk's team from accessing federal payment systems, and that is where this starts. That is when Elon Musk and JD Vance began openly floating the idea of defying a court order. Let me just read this to bring you up to speed. A federal judge on Sunday temporarily blocked a Trump administration team led by tech billionaire Elon Musk from accessing government payment processing systems in response to a challenge from the attorneys general in 19 states. And I made a video about this lawsuit. It was an incredibly well-written and short lawsuit that was punchy. It was good. The states, led by New York Attorney General Letitia James, you know MAGA's minds are about to explode, argue Musk and other members of DOGE are not authorized to access the Treasury Department's central payment system and could jeopardize the security of confidential information. I've been covering this relentlessly, so if you've been watching my videos, you'll know that out of the team that Elon Musk assembled, one is basically a Nazi who thinks more people should be racist. One was fired from a job in 2022 for leaking confidential information to a competitor. He's got a team of 5 young college dudes with curly hair, and all of them seem to be fuck-ups in one way or another. They also argue that Musk's team could block federal funds to states for health clinics, preschools, climate initiatives, and other programs. Musk could block funds for his competitors while allocating more funds for his own company. There are many, many things that he could do. But thankfully, a U.S. judge said the states had made a sufficient case at this stage of both potential harm and that their legal arguments have merit. Here's where it gets scary. So I continue in this Substack post. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to shamelessly plug the Substack. You got to go subscribe to the Substack. There's a link in the description below. Even with Musk and Trump gutting democratic institutions, we haven't yet become Hungary, a country where democracy collapsed because of the exact playbook Trump is using. Attack the media, stack institutions with loyalists, and defy court orders until the judiciary bends to your will. But today, both Elon Musk and JD Vance started floating the idea of outright defying a court ruling, and it felt coordinated. Let's start off with JD Vance. He said, if a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. First of all, we'll debunk that in a second. If a judge tried to command the attorney general in how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. And JD Vance is lying. He is willfully misinterpreting constitutional principles, and we can explain how. First of all, just to explain his argument, he's saying that courts cannot dictate how the executive branch conducts its affairs. He's saying that judges have no authority to tell a general how to run a military operation. He's trying to draw simple analogies, but his argument, again, twists legitimate constitutional principles into a dangerous justification of distorting power. What I'm trying to say is the executive branch does have broad discretion in carrying out its duties, but that power is not absolute. The power has never been absolute, and courts routinely check executive overreach. By Vance's logic, the courts would have no right to stop Nixon from using federal agencies to cover up Watergate. You guys remember the Supreme Court ruling that essentially ended Nixon's presidency? And here's what's going on here. JD Vance is trying to justify unchecked executive power, the ability for the executive branch to do whatever they want, but he's wrapping it in the language of separation of power, saying the courts can't dictate when this happens or when this happens. Again, there is a lot of precedent, whether you look at Nixon or Andrew Jackson's Trail of Tears. There is precedent for the courts stepping in and stopping an executive order. You don't even have to look that far into the past. Even Biden had some out there executive orders, like when he tried to cancel a bunch of student debt, and then the Supreme Court stepped in and stopped that. They struck down that ruling because Biden's not a king. They're trying to rule as a king. Now, Yashar Ali points out that Elon Musk has also retweeted a post that suggests the ruling on DOGE accessing the Treasury Department systems should be defied. Let me reiterate one more time. When they start openly defying court orders, we have officially entered a constitutional crisis, and it's kind of the point of no return. Someone named Insurrection Barbie, it's a little on the nose. Someone named Insurrection Barbie was retweeted by Elon Musk, as you can see with this yellow highlighting. And she says, common cases where ex parte orders are issued. And then she lists domestic violence, stopping an illegal action, fraud, bankruptcy, blah, blah, blah. And in this, you can see number 3 is stopping an illegal action. These orders require substantial proof of immediate harm. They are used for emergency purposes only. Well, that's the thing. The judge is arguing that there was sufficient evidence that there could be harm. Again, the states had made a sufficient case at this stage of both potential harm and that their legal arguments have merit. They have merit because they are accessing these systems with the lack of security clearance, and it could jeopardize confidential information, and they could block federal funds to health clinics, preschools, climate initiatives, as we were talking about earlier. So, let me scroll back down to Insurrection Barbie. Insurrection Barbie then says, I don't like the precedent it sets when you defy a judicial ruling. Then don't. Then don't. But I'm just wondering, what other options are these judges leaving us? Because if they're going to blah, 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 disregard the Constitution for their own partisan political gain, I think it says blatantly disregard, but it got cut off by the screenshot. You want to know what other options there are, Insurrection Barbie? Go through the legal pathways. There are ways you can challenge misuse or waste of government resources in court. If there is actually fraud, the level of which Elon Musk is claiming, if there is actually government waste and fraud at that level, then you can go to the courts and you can show that there is corruption or rampant waste. But Elon Musk is not doing that. He's purposefully going around the courts. Now, here's what I say. This is what we need to watch closely. Remember, Substack in the description below. Trump is throwing countless distractions out per day, building up to his Super Bowl appearance, but they're all just noise. He's flooding the zone. The real danger is what's happening behind the scenes, the normalization of lawlessness. The good news, public pressure is working. Take it from AOC, who recently said in this video that the calls are starting to bother Republican congressmen and women.
I very weirdly do have relationships with Republican members of Congress. I think they find it to be like a novelty, like kind of funny or whatever. So sometimes I'll ask them, like, what's up? And I do think that the volume of calls this week has absolutely started to change the tide. Like members, Democratic members and Republican members alike, we're actually getting a high volume of calls. And if that sustains itself, we're already starting to see the tide turn a little bit, but the pressure needs to
keep the pressure on because our Congress people are feeling it. Remember, the U.S. Capitol switchboard, the number is 202-224-3121. Take a screenshot of this. Call your representative. They can direct you to your local representative. Back to this article. Members of Congress, especially in purple districts, are vulnerable to public pressure because they need to win re-election. If they start feeling the heat, they'll think twice before rubber stamping Trump and Musk's power grabs. I finally say, we have to keep pushing. I've been hammering the Elon story nonstop, and thanks to you guys, it's working. In the past 7 days alone, I'm talking to you guys now, in the past 7 days alone, my coverage of Musk has hit 6.5 million views on YouTube in total, and I'm only doubling down. The fight isn't over. Keep the pressure on. Keep calling. Keep exposing them. The moment we stop pushing is the moment they win. So subscribe to my Substack, my YouTube channel, and the video is not done. We just have to understand that Elon Musk and JD Vance and Trump, all the people around them, are currently laying the groundwork for full-scale defiance of judicial authority. If the courts rule against DOGE operatives and the administration then refuses to comply, what happens next? I mean, the courts would need to enforce their ruling by calling on the military. Is that going to happen? That is when it's officially a silent coup. I mean, right now, they're leading into that, but we can't really call it a constitutional crisis until we're deep into one. If Nixon would have defied the Supreme Court order, then that would have been a constitutional crisis. That is where we are heading right now. I'll leave it at that. All that I ask is you drop a like, subscribe to the Substack, to the YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.